All right, guys. Thank you. Sorry for those who are waiting. Sorry for the delay. Had some technical difficulties, but I'm gonna hop right into it. This is gonna be saved to the YouTube feed. But most of you know I'm Nasar El-arabi, aka the Real Estate Doru. I'm not a guru. I'm a Doru because I actually do this business. And today I have a very special guest on. Right, I got Burton from PropStream, and Burton has been so nice to give us his time because he's going to show us how to properly find pre-foreclosures on PropStream, right? So it's easy to tell investors, hey, go get pre-foreclosures, etc. But Bird's going to show us how to do that from our couch. So that's the best part about it. We don't have to go down to the county courthouse to do this or things of that nature. We can just do this specifically from our couch. So I'm going to let Burton take over from here. Burton?
Thank you so much, Nasir. Appreciate that. And everybody here, thank you so much for investing your time. So in order to pull pre-foreclosures out of our system, the first thing we're going to need to obviously do is identify a market. I'm in California, so that probably wouldn't be fair if I just use my neighborhood. Nasir, is there one you'd like me to use? A neighborhood in
Yeah, can we use Statesville,
Statesville?
North Carolina?
North Carolina. There we go. So once you're in a market, the first thing you're going to want to do is go straight into our filter and then choose from our quick list choices. Now, there's two types of pre-foreclosures that you need to understand. The first category is every pre-foreclosure record we've been able to collect on your behalf. So this is going to be pre-foreclosures that are in a default, pre-foreclosures that are in a trustee sale. These are ones with an auction. And this is also going to include properties that have a notice of rescission, a filing that says they're no longer in pre-foreclosure. So just note, these are the three things that are going to consist in this category here. The other option is auctions. So these are properties that actually have an auction date assigned to them, right? So there's, again, many different levels of pre-foreclosures and different document types. The ones that are in auctions are called notices of trustee sale. So there's an actual auction date assigned to that property. And that's just the one thing that you need to be aware of, is that there's potentially a deadline on how fast you have to deal with that property. Okay. So once you pull up your market, like here in Statesville, North Carolina, click on pre-foreclosure. And then there's just a few best practices that you're going to want to implement. Now, most of us here are wholesaling. So the first thing I encourage you to do after you choose pre-foreclosures is go to the MLS status area right over here and make sure it's off market. Now, if you want something on market, go ahead and choose yes. I would say 9 out of 10 of us watching right now are aiming to speak to the homeowner directly. So make sure you have on market no. The next area that I recommend that you visit would be the valuation and equity info section. The important part here is to put a minimum amount of equity. Without equity, you're not going to be able to assign that property, right? You'll probably have to use a different strategy, but wholesaling may not apply. So in this area, you're going to want to go to the estimated equity percentage and put a minimum, 30%, 40%. As they say, the higher, the better, but we'll let you make that decision. Let's do 35 for this example. Now that you've done that, the final stop is really your preferences. What type of property and owner do you want to work with? And what you can do is go back to the top and start creating a situation. Like maybe you want to knock on a door. So you'd probably want an owner-occupied property. So you're going to hit yes here. Maybe you believe that if the owner is not at this house, they're going to be more willing to sell the property. That's what we call a non-owner occupied property. Or perhaps you're in that group that says, hey, whether you live in the house or don't live in the house, you're in a pre-foreclosure. I want to talk to you no matter what. So you can keep it under any if you'd like. Occupancy status is if you want them answering their mail. So if you're going to be sending out postcards, then you probably want them occupying, meaning they're answering the mail. If you want properties that are vacant, click on vacant. Now, you may or may not get results, but that's what that category represents. Now, things to note about a property answering their mail, property net answering their mail, is that a property answering their mail, again, could mean that the owner's there or a tenant is there. So get ready for that scenario of relocating the owner or dealing with the tenant. Again, if you don't want a property with anybody living in it, then you're going to want perhaps a vacant property. So just note the differences there. Final thing, again, is to apply your property characteristics. Most of us are in the residential space, so I would recommend choosing residential. After that, go to property type and let us know what type of residential property you're looking for. Is it perhaps a single family property? Or we have different subcategories, so maybe it's a mobile home you're looking for. So feel free to use our filters to identify what it is you really, really need. After you apply your property characteristics, the last stop I would recommend is ownership information. In this area, you can specify the type of owner that you need, whether they've owned it for a certain amount of years, whether they're an individual or corporate owned. And finally, the last thing, I know I said this was the last thing, and there is actually one more thing I want to mention just for you to be aware of, is after you apply your ownership info, let's say you're looking for an individual owner, you can visit our pre-foreclosure section to refine your pre-foreclosure results. Maybe you're looking for, as I mentioned, a certain status, one that's just in a default, or one that actually has an auction date. Another thing to note is recording date. There's a lot of investors in every market. And so if you're trying to circumvent the competition, know that the longer a record has been recorded, the higher the probability a lot of people have called them. So if you're trying to look for fresh records, recording date will be your best friend. This will let you put a minimum start date, maybe something at the beginning of the year, or beginning of last year, or beginning of the last 2 months. We'll let you make that decision. But these are the best practices. Choose your lists, make sure it's off market, has that minimum amount of equity, and then apply your property characteristics, and feel free to refine the owner information and pre-foreclosure information. Okay. And that's how you'll be able to pull the pre-foreclosure list with PropStream.
All right.
One of the best practices, I should say.
Could we hit the search record?
The search,
like how many? Once you put all those filters on, I wanted to see how many properties you came up with.
We came up with 13 with that exact criteria.
13. Okay, I'm sorry. 13, and the screen. My screen is small. I don't have.
Let me zoom in for you. No problem, brother. Let me do.
No, it's not you. It's not me.
I can see it too on the StreamYard. It does look very small, so that's my bad as well. So
yeah, it's all good, man.
That should be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have 13 unique properties. So out of the 24 we initially started with, again, after making sure it's off market, has the equity, and single family rather than mobile home, we got 13 results.
Okay. And this is a market that's far outside of Charlotte, and I wanted to, utilize this market. But the method you went through that you just explained, it could be used in any market, correct?
Absolutely. And again, these are just the best practices. Right now we did do it in Statesville with these filters. If you wanted to, let's say, check out Charlotte, just hit this X button here and type in Charlotte. And as Nasir was mentioning, city by city, county by county, the results will vary. And so when we look at Charlotte, a more dense area in terms of population, we yielded 246 results with that same filter, right? Pre-foreclosure, off market with the equity so you can assign it, and then single family, individually owned. So yes, that's a great catch on that. That's why we had only 13 results in one market versus Charlotte, where there's 10 times that amount.
All right. Yes. So, and I definitely wanted to point that out to people, because for those who are watching it, all right, I went to a town that's probably 45 minutes outside of Charlotte, very small town. there is investment activity up there. People do stuff up there, but that's it's a small town. Then I went to a major city, and there was a big difference. However, the amount of records you're going to get from a major city is going to be different from a small town. However, you can still make money in either one.
I agree 100% with that statement.
Yeah, so so if you're only getting, hey, I pull a pre-foreclosure, only got 13, that's because you're in a small market and you can work those 13s, or you can go to a bigger market where now you have 246 records. Now, Burton, if you had, from all your clients, what's the best way to get in front of these people that are in pre-foreclosure? So, for example, when I used to go after this, right, back in the day, I would, I tried to mail them, okay?
Yeah.
That would not work. They're ignoring their bills.
Yeah.
Okay? So I door knocked and boom, started working. So fast forward today, texting, or if you call them and catch them on the phone, hey, you might get a conversation, if they have a phone. But what's the best practice if to get in front of these people, you would say from your clients?
I think you nailed it right in the head. The evolution of technology and marketing is ever evolving. Back in the day, as you mentioned, it was face-to-face, door knocking, postcards, and then, as technology, email, everybody has a cell phone now, started increasing, the marketing started shifting. And you nailed it right in the head. I would say the biggest marketing elements right now are definitely text messaging, cold calling. Don't ignore that. I mean, that's probably, I don't think cold calling is ever going to leave us. I think, to me, that's like a staple when it comes to getting in front of somebody. And then email marketing. So those three, I would say, are the biggest marketing things that I'm seeing across the board. Again, that's cell phones, cold calling, or calling the landline. Definitely knocking on door, but be careful. Again, we're living in some really crazy times right now, especially with that pandemic. And then text messaging. That would be my answer.
Okay. Yeah. See, there you have it, guys. And with these leads, I strongly recommend you try all three ways. Even back when I was door knocking, sometimes I would have to go to a house twice, once in the daytime, once in the evening. Not everybody works the same 9 to 5 schedule. And as with any marketing, you just want them to respond after they pick up the phone. That's on you. However, but again, as with any marketing, everyone responds to marketing a different way. So, for example, I'm going to get, some of you probably heard this example, but I'm going to give it to you again. And that is, if you go to, let's say, Macy's will say, hey, I'll give you an extra 5% off if you give us your phone number, right? You give them your phone number, they already have your email, and they have your mailing address, right? So when they have their next sale, they let you know 3 ways. They let you know mail, they're going to let you know email, and they're going to text you. So for me, once it goes to my email, I still have an AOL email for all of the retail stores. I give them all the retail stores go right to that AOL email.
Savage.
So chances are I probably don't look at that as much, right? So, all right, so it all goes to this.
So anybody watching, if Nasar gives you his AOL email.
So they hit me with AOL, right? The mail, I'll pick it up. It doesn't make me respond. But if I get that text message reminder the day of saying, hey, wow, this is 30% off today. Let me go. Let me go there today then. All right, 30% off today. They're giving an extra 30% off, and you can use any of the coupons you have. So that's gonna get me in the store. Okay, and that's what you want to do. You're trying to get these people to respond. We're not a retail store. You just want to get them to pick up the phone, and you're looking for that person as willing to raise their hand to say, hey, yes, I'm interested in what you have to offer. Let's talk. And then you're going to go from there. It's not a magic bullet, but this is a way that we can get pre-foreclosures for your from your couch. Okay. Another way, instead of doing the city, you can do the county, and that will give you more, more leads to work with, and that way you can go through those your county leads if you only have 13. But I don't want you to give up if you're that guy in the market with just 13. Try pulling the county and then see what you have from the county, then you can work back. If you're in a major city, 250 pre-foreclosures, those, they have a problem. You're just looking for that one person that's willing to admit to it and say, hey, look, what can you do for it? So yes, Burt, I mean, you showed us the best practices for that. Do you have any other tips and tricks with pulling pre-foreclosures?
No, just be prepared. I mean, with this moratorium coming to an end, keeps getting pushed. But be prepared. Again, be prepared to look for the best practices. Again, get used to searching your county, your city, your zip code, clicking on pre-foreclosure here at the top, and making sure you apply those basic best practices. After you choose pre-foreclosure, make sure it's off market. Make sure it has that equity, the minimum, so you can assign it eventually, and then just add your property and owner preferences. So get to practicing, start going in different areas, start doing that. And guys, I don't know if you guys caught what Nasir mentioned. This stuff had to be done physically back in the day. If it did live in Statesville, North Carolina, these are the 13 records you had access to, right? If you wanted to go to Charlotte, you had to go drive to Charlotte, grab those records, go back to your office, and if someone called you back, go back to their house. All can be done, as you mentioned, from the comfort of your couch. So practice, but just make sure you apply those best practices. Choose the list, off-market equity, and then your preferences.
All right. Yes. So, and again, you want to market to them multiple ways. Everybody responds multiple ways. Sometimes they might not pick up your call in the daytime, but they might pick it up in the nighttime. Now, when I was knocking on doors, I would have to go 2-3 times a day because some people work in the day, some people work in the night. So that's, if they work in the night, they're going to be home in the day. They work in the day, they're going to be home in the night. So I've done that. And this is much easier and softer approach than knocking on doors. Believe me, I have been in a position that I went to go knock on the door and I got the son and I had to tell the son his house was in foreclosure. So, he wasn't, you talking about embarrassed. I was embarrassed for it. He didn't have to be embarrassed. And he said, man, I got to call my parents because the parents, they let him live in the house and the payment wasn't being paid. And he found out through me and I got out of there. I didn't anything like that. I just got out of there so that the family can have that conversation with their son. So you don't have to worry about that these days. Okay. So, Burt, that's all I needed, man.
Most definitely. I'll be back. You call, you just ring. I'll be there anytime you need any help or you like me to share some stuff. I'm always here to help you out, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Yeah, and I'm gonna definitely call you back. I just want to focus on pre-foreclosure because, like you said, this moratorium is coming to an end, and being that it's coming to an end, I just want people to know how can they go about that. Because also this is an excellent list for subject 2, but also notice of default. If you just switch it to notice, meaning that they just got the notice that they're default, that's a great list to go after as well because you find that some of those people will be more realistic that they have to do something. So
absolutely.
Yes. So Burton, I just want to say thank you, man. And
of course.
Yeah, thanks for the good people at PropStream for the time. If you look at the bottom of the screen, if you go to durudata.com, you can sign up for that. It's a 7-day free trial. So you can look around, make sure you're happy with the product. And yeah, man, you can go from there, man. It's
and you actually get 50 free leads. So if you're in Statesville, these 13 leads can be pulled during the trial period, and you can see how well you do with them. So wow. 50 free leads with that 7-day trial period, guys.
Man, you just put me on the side. All right, so you guys get 50 free leads with the trial period as well. So you can export that and start working those leads for free. Again, I use this service. I used to use another service for comps, and I So I'm switch over. I'm all in on propstream. I remember, and I tell this story, and I know people think that I'm BSing, but back when I did my first wholesale deal in 2011, if I wanted cash buyers, I had a cash buyers list. I would have to go call up a realtor and have them email me a cash buyers list, and then I would print it out and handwrite postcards to them. Not today. I don't need to call that realtor. I don't need to bother that realtor. I can just hit a button for cash buyers, and I got all my cash buyers right in front of me. So it's literally it's everything that simple. Finding pre-foreclosures is just one aspect. Darnell, I see you asking, what did you do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to this video will be saved to my YouTube so you guys can watch it. And, you know, if everybody can just thank Burton, we appreciate it, man. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at RealEstate Doru. Make sure you get my, if you need contracts to start your real estate business, you go to durucontracts.com. durucontracts.com. You'll get my free contracts. All these links are in the description for all the free stuff. So please check that out. You got any questions for me, you can hit me. You can text me at 704-285-1600. Thanks again, Burton, and really appreciate it.